It happened. What an exciting day. TJ Power commits to play basketball for Duke University and join the Brotherhood. And we get to break it all down on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. It's time to get to work. Here we go.
Hey, make sure you listen, man, to Locked On Blue Devils with JJ Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. It's so great to have you here with us on today's show. We've got a lot to discuss as TJ Power commits to play basketball for Duke University, and we're going to get a full breakdown of it from our man, Jason Jordan, the director of college basketball recruiting for Sports Illustrated. Locked On Blue Devils, a daily podcast each and every day, talking all things in the life of Duke athletics. It's week 2 of the Duke football season. But you know Duke basketball never stops, and we're talking about it. Follow us on Twitter at LO_Blue Devils. You can follow me on Twitter at _JJ_Jackson_. As we move forward, make sure that you follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure you like and subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Your support means the world. Let's now welcome in my good buddy Jason Jordan. Our weekly chats continue, and it's always fun when we've got a commitment breakdown. And here we go, Jason. The big news. TJ Power is the 5th member of the class of 2023 for Duke.
Yeah, man, that's huge. That's huge. It really solidifies their spot. I mean, they were the number 1 class anyway in 2023. Guess we never heard that before, even, you know. Jon Scheyer back-to-back number 1 classes. Is somebody gonna catch them? I don't know. Not based off my back channel conversations about who could go where. I don't think they're going to be caught, but, you know, stranger things have happened. But for now, they're number 1, and it's pretty amazing, the class that they put together.
TJ Power is the latest commitment. We talked about him a few weeks ago when he cut his list down to 5, and Duke was one of the 5, along with North Carolina, Virginia, Boston College, Iowa, the 5 schools in the mix for Power. Here he is making the commitment last night, saying, I'm going to join the Brotherhood and play for Duke University. There's a video posted by Sports Illustrated with TJ holding the phone, shouting out you, Jason, and talking about walking through his decision and that sort of thing. So we want people to go check out that work, but we got to talk about this a little bit. I mean, how did we get here? How did we get to TJ Power deciding, you know what, I do want to join the Brotherhood?
You know, I definitely don't. You know, when we did the story on him last month, I know that he wasn't sure. Right. Like, you know, sometimes you get the drift. Sometimes guys say, I'm not sure, but they kind of know. And maybe they just want to take a couple more visits. He genuinely didn't know, you know, this time last month. But he said what really sold him, and he talks about it in the blog, is it was the visit, you know, and that's often the case. Just being there, he said it was so hard not to commit on the visit. He had to make himself not commit on the visit. And I respect that. He went back and went on a couple family trips and, you know, cleared his head. And he said when he came back after that, he really stepped back from recruiting, didn't do a lot of interviews, didn't really think about it, put it off to the side. And then, you know, a couple weeks later when it came back to him, he felt like the feeling was stronger that he wanted to go to Duke. And he knew then that, you know, that's where he belonged. And so he was ready to make the call.
I always appreciate your expertise and insight. I mean, you've been doing this for years and years and years, and you've seen so many different recruiting classes come together and that sort of thing. So to hear kind of behind the scenes of how visits come together, how coaches factor into it, both at the AAU, the high school level, the college level, it's so fascinating. So in your experience, how frequent do you hear something like that with what TJ Power was saying, that I was so tempted to commit on the official visit? How frequently does someone say that?
Yeah, it's quite often I hear that, especially in Durham. If I'm being very honest, people don't like to hear that, but it's true. But to be fair, I hear that on a lot of blue blood offers, blue blood official visits for sure. And, you know, because they roll a red carpet out, you know, they roll out for those guys like TJ. And I think the biggest thing is that he really connected with Jon Scheyer, right? He talked about their bond and their his relatability and how easy he is to talk to and how much he really sold him on joining that group, that special group that they're putting together, and the possibilities of what could get done in year 2. And he was all in. A lot of interchangeable parts in that class, and I feel like he knew that he could mesh well with those guys. I mean, I think they're already talking on group chats. They're they had been, I know Caleb and Jared were all in, and Big Mac was in for him and everything like that. So they've been on him anyway. But I think he feels like there's so many interchangeable parts in that class, and he feels like they all mesh well together. So it was really, at the end of the day, it became a no-brainer. I won't say that it was a no-brainer like with all the other great options he had, but I think it was one of those things in hindsight, man, that's the drift I got from him. Like, it was tough, but this is where I'm supposed to go. And, that's what that was basically his basic message.
We've now got 5 commits in the class of 2023 for Duke. It's a really loaded class, the number 1 class in the country. Again, a class that had Tyrese Proctor initially. So they've had this number 5 before. He reclasses to join the team now. And you've got this open spot. TJ Power now occupies that spot. Kind of break down Power's game again. I mean, if folks are just now learning of him because he did officially commit to Duke, how do you describe his game?
Well, man, I said this before, but I think he might even be a little bit more shifty on the wing, but he really reminds me of Kyle Singler. Like Kyle Singler, Mike Dunleavy as a playmaker. He's about 6'8", 6'9", but he handles the ball like a guard. And I think where he's at his best is his ability to create on the wing, create and pull up. You have to respect his perimeter jump shot off the creation. So a lot of guys create out there and they go by you. Well, TJ, is deadly from the 3-point line. And this summer, I think he shot right at 40% for BABC on the Nike EYBL. And so everyone knows about his July in Kansas City. He averaged like 24, 8, and 3, offensive MVP of the 4th and final session of the Nike EYBL. Then he goes to Peach Jam, the biggest tournament on planet Earth in the summer, and he wins defensive MVP there. And so, after that, that's when everything really started rolling for him. And, he talked to me about how there was a click that happened in Kansas City where he was having a really good summer. But then something clicked in one of his big games. I believe it was a 33-point game. And there's been a mental shift that has gotten him to the point of out of this world confidence on the court. This is his words. He has this confidence, this clicking mentality that he said, and since that game, I haven't come back down from that mentality. And, that was impressive to hear. That's something I don't usually hear from high school seniors. But he said, that's the thing that's really making him go. And he's just at another level mentally now. And, he's been impressive all summer, but I think his ability to create on the wing, but but because you have to push up on his 3-point shot, he's going by you too. He scores well in the mid range. He's good at stopping and pulling up, and he's going to get to the rack too. So at his size, he's super dangerous. I think his best basketball is ahead of him. And in that class, I just think he's just set up to be a star in that class because of all of the boxes he checks off, all of the things that he can do on the court. I think he's going to be a star in that class of stars.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Which is saying a lot,
right?
Because that class is my goodness, all of those guys are stars for real.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how it all comes together and, the pieces that could still be in Durham out of this 2022 class. And you start to think about rosters for Duke basketball. It just gets to be fun. And I want to talk a little bit more about TJ Power's game and this class as a whole after our first time out here on today's program. You're listening to Locked On Blue Devils here today. I'm JJ Jackson and working with Jason Jordan, the director of college basketball recruiting for Sports Illustrated. I want to let you know about our partners at Upside. From cringing at the pump to the eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts, and it really hurts. And that's why I started using Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or eats out. With every purchase, I'm earning cash back thanks to Upside. To get started, download the free Upside app, use my promo code LOCKED, and get $5 or more cash back with your first purchase of 10 or more. Download the free Upside app and use promo code LOCKED, LOCKED, to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using promo code LOCKED. Check out this amazing app called Upside. Welcome back into today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson alongside Jason Jordan. A lot of J's going on when JJ's talking with Jason Jordan and talking about J's. TJ Powers got a J of himself. Yeah. We mentioned the outside shot a little bit. The other thing that I keep reading, everyone wants to point out the fact that this guy is ambidextrous, Jason. Yeah. What can that do for a basketball player when evaluating him? And truly, left-handed, right-handed, talk to us a little bit about the versatility that TJ brings.
Well, it just means he can adjust in any given situation, meaning if you cut off his left hand, he's going to be just as strong with his right. And that is how he plays. Like, he can go to the left and finish with the left just as well as he can with the right. And that does make him more dangerous. I mean, there are guys, the first one that comes to mind is Kyrie Irving. Not that they're the same player, but in that regard, Kyrie finishes. Some people feel like Kyrie finishes with his left better than his right. Anybody's guess when it's Kyrie Irving, but that is definitely a weapon because it's tough for most guys know on the defensive end, rule of thumb is to push your defender a certain way. You're supposed to push him. This is textbook, kindergarten basketball here. Push your defender to his weaker hand. Well, when you got a guy who doesn't have a weaker hand, that makes him on the most basic level is going to make him more dangerous. So, and then at his size and at his skill level, I mean, it's just, it's pretty clear that adds an element for sure.
And also a top Major League Baseball pitching prospect. Yeah. I mean, we're learning more and more about TJ Powers. This guy just seems to be amazing.
Yeah, he talked, and I asked him straight up, hey, are you going to try and play baseball at Duke? He said, yeah, that's the plan. He's going to try and he said it. He said he was going to try and play baseball at Duke too. And, just going to take advantage of the opportunities is what he said. So, obviously basketball is his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 focus. But I think when that's over, I think you'll probably see him on the diamond for sure.
Yeah, Coach Pollard and the Duke baseball staff going to be thrilled about that for sure. So we're talking about the star-studded class for Duke. I mean, we broke it down when it was just 4 commitments. And you're telling me how much you absolutely love the game of Mackenzie Mgbako and how NBA people are like, that's the one. And it's not just Mackenzie now. I mean, this class, top to bottom, is absolutely sensational.
Oh, man. I mean, it's really a pick your poison. I mean, you got Mackenzie. Obviously, you have to start there. He's the highest-ranked guy. But he's a guy who just big, strong, does everything. I mean, everything. He and TJ are about, the same height. I think TJ might have him by like a half a centimeter, but they're similar players too. Mackenzie's probably a little more athletic, but they're similar in the way they approach things. TJ probably can stroke it a little better. Mackenzie's probably more athletic, more physical. Sean Stewart is a guy who people talk about the least in this class, but which is wild, but that's the gift and the curse of a strong class, right? Somebody's going to get the love. Somebody's going to get a little bit less ink. And Sean Stewart's probably the guy in the class who gets the smallest amount of ink. But, I mean, he's super skilled. He dominated this summer, too. I mean, it's almost like you had a prerequisite to be at Duke in 23 is to dominate the EYBL because, I mean, he's 6'8", 6'9", everything forward. Very versatile, very athletic. He's going to get the wow play. He's going to get Cameron jumping with the dunks. But, he's a tenacious defender as well. A guy who really bodies up, plays great defense, great rebounder. Caleb Foster went nuts this summer. People didn't talk about that enough. We wrote a story about how he was very much underrated, still is, I think. He's maybe the best scoring point guard in the class, maybe in the country. You know what I'm saying? He's averaging 30 points a game, at Kansas City, 4th and final stop, Nike YBL. He and TJ Power had a game for the ages at Peach Jam. Both of them had 30 apiece. And, that really grew their bond and started their relationship to grow. So, he's another. And then you got Jared McCain, Mr. Popularity, I mean, who dominated the EYBL too for Team Why Not? 6'4", 6'5", sharpshooter, but an amazing creator, playmaker extraordinaire, super athletic, gets to the rim at will, knocks down the shot, perimeter jump shot efficiently, and he's really good in the mid-range as well. So, I mean, to say that they're going to have snipers and weapons at every point on that court would be an understatement. It's scary. This is one of the best classes I've seen in a while.
I can't wait to see it all come together. What a star-studded class of 2023 it is for Duke. And again, last night, TJ Power announcing his decision to join the Brotherhood at Sports Illustrated with my man Jason Jordan. We've got TJ Power. This is why I committed to Duke. He put a blog out there. And on Twitter, you pulled out a quote, Jason, that I absolutely love from TJ saying, quote, "People speculated over the roster at Duke and how it has all this talent and if it would deter me. But for me, it's like, who do you think I am? I can hoop too." Man.
Loved it. When he said it, I got a rush. I was like, man, I love him. I just love a confident player. Right? And the last part of that quote is that when he said, "I don't have to take a back seat to anybody."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He said that's in the blog, right? So, but I think his point was that all these guys, we're all on the same level. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? And I love that. I love that. Love a confident player, man. And I think, what he also said in that, just to bring context to it, was that the mindset of that class, and I agree with him because I watched these guys for years, is that all of them love to share the ball. Like they all want to make the extra pass, the no-look pass at the end after 4 passes and finish with a dunk and all flying chest bumps. And whoever finishes the play, it doesn't matter because we all played as a team. That's how that group is. Like Caleb's like that. Jared's like that. Sean's definitely like that. Big Mac is like that as well. And TJ's a, system guy. All-stars within the system. They can be all-stars on their own, but they're buying into the system. They really buy into this whole brotherhood that Duke has been preaching for years. And so they really take that stuff to heart. Every commit that commits to Duke talks about the brotherhood and how privileged they feel to be a part of the brotherhood. We know Duke probably has the best commitment video when they do another one with Jay Billis. People will hate me for saying that, but I mean, Kentucky's is good too, but I'm sorry. Duke's is tough, man. And Kyrie ending it at the end with the head shake. I mean, shout out to them.
Different. It's different. And
yeah.
It's like Duke gets this this rep for elitism, whatever you want to call it. It's been, I mean, you just look at the track record. All the guys we're talking about finishes at the rim, and the first person you bring up is Kyrie. And that wasn't just because he's a Duke guy. It was just like, I'm talking ball. And Kyrie is a Duke guy. And the brotherhood is so interesting to me, talking about this quote from TJ Power, because it's like all of these guys are alphas at the end of the day. Like, I can hoop too is probably what they're all preaching, and yet they want to come and play together still.
I mean, it's telling about the type of player that they are, because the reality is none of those guys are going to average 20. None of them. Not and they can go anywhere and average 20, at a lesser with, I won't say a lesser school, but a school that doesn't have as much talent in the class. But they're all cool with averaging 10 to 14 a game. You know what I'm saying? And because they're really buying into the greater goal. They want to be like the first national title, maybe the second. They're hoping the second national title class for Jon Scheyer. And man, it's telling. Now that is telling about Jon Scheyer as a salesman, not just Jon Scheyer, but Chris Carrawell, a shout out to him, Emil Jefferson, and who am I leaving out? But they're going to be so mad at me.
Jay Lucas, our new guy.
Jay Lucas. Yeah. I mean, it's really a testament to those guys and how well they're able to sell guys on, hey, man, forget that 20, 22 a game. We know you can do that, but come here and average 10. Right. And it's like, wait, what? Did you do some type of voodoo on me? Because I'm buying into this. You know what I'm saying? But that is that is quite the salesman. And, I mean, but what they're selling is easy to, it's easy to understand why you want to buy that.
So this is where I got to put you on the spot. Again,
Yeah.
we're talking about this recruiting class. Now 5 members of this class in 2023, 5 in the class of 2022.
Yeah.
Just looking at recruiting, did Jon Scheyer outdo his first class? Is this one greater? If we had a 5-on-5 game between our current freshmen and Whitehead and Lively, Filipowski, Jaden Shute, all those guys versus Mark Mitchell versus the 5 guys we're talking about here. How do you stack them up?
That's rough, man. That's rough. Man.
It's a good problem for Coach Scheyer to have.
You know what?
I would love to watch that game.
A great problem. I don't know. I think the trees might give them problems. I mean, I think Mac and Sean will push him off a little bit, but Mark is a dog. I think very highly of Mark. And Mark, Kyle, Derek. I'm gonna. Ooh, man. Yeah, I'll give the nod to the older guys. I'll give a nod to the older guys just because the trees, the 2 7-footers are down there. That's tough to contend with. But I'm gonna say quadruple overtime, tip in from Derek Lively. Derek Lively tip in. Yeah.
The shooting from the class of 2023 might be the great equalizer, though.
It could. Well, Derek's hurt, so maybe we got to factor that in. So maybe they lost. Maybe they lost in triple overtime.
Right.
Either way, great problem for Jon Scheyer. Man,
no kidding.
People are gonna be mad. But I mean, I know Jon for a long time. This maybe is his best performance on or off the court.
It's never been done before. I mean, who's a coach walking into a job that's done something like this?
That's crazy.
It can't. I mean, and here's the thing. Wow. Now that 2023 is here, who knows? I mean, I would assume this class is done, right? Yeah. I would assume we've talked Stojakovic in the past before, but Power kind of fills that role. I would assume this class is done. So now you just move on to the class of 2024. Over the next few weeks, we're going to have to keep talking about Trenton Flowers and Nas Cunningham, some of those other guys that I'm sure Duke's going to be in on.
Absolutely. And it's a momentum thing. Like, and be clear, this helps the 24. I know that you close your ears, Duke haters, but it's a wave. Recruiting is definitely a wave, and kids ride that wave. Yeah. So 2022, if you think that the 2022 class didn't influence the 23 guys, and you're sadly mistaken. I assure you that they all wanted to be the #1 class, and that's why they joined forces. And I'm just telling you, the momentum tends to last for a little bit. So it's just Duke's run right now. Clearly,
we mentioned the Another One video that gets released by Duke MBB on Twitter, and all the guys that are kind of featured in it. Like, let's just how far away are we now? It's crazy to think about. We're now so far removed from Zion's class that those guys really wouldn't even be in college if they stayed all 4 years. And Zion's class was so far removed from the likes of Jason Tatum and Brandon Ingram and all those other great stars that Duke's had in this one and done era.
Yeah, it's wild, man. And then their stars are, shining on the biggest stage, which is where everybody wants to get to. And so I always hear, even TJ was talking about he patterns his game after Jason Tatum, and Mackenzie before he committed, he was like, Jason Tatum, because they talk about the biggest stars in the NBA, and Tate, Kyrie Irving, Zion Williams. I mean, come on, it's free marketing. Right. And those guys are always wearing Duke gear and shouting out Duke and stuff like that. So it's an impressive run, man. And they're using all their resources. So, shout out to them for that.
I just want to end with a little bit of more messaging to the Duke haters out there, Jason. Is this the part where I remind them that 5 guys were also just drafted, about to be rookies in the league, and the #1 overall pick?
Let them live, man. Let them live. They're having a bad week, man. Let them live, man. Let them live.
Jason, the time is always greatly appreciated. It's a joy to have you on the program. Plug your work one more time, and where can people find more content on TJ Power?
Yeah, si.com. Go read TJ Power's blog. This is why I chose Duke. Very in depth. He went very in depth. He definitely reached for this. He definitely reached deeper than a lot of my bloggers have from their commitment blog. So I was very impressed with his blog. And so si.com, college basketball. I'm there all the time. Jason Jordan SI on Twitter, Jason C. Jordan on Instagram. Come check me out.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank
Always
you.
a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Jason Jordan joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. And that brings us to a close here on this Thursday. TJ Power, another one indeed that we've got joining the Brotherhood. Back at it tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.